welcome back. Well, Nigeria's trade deficit is at 3 trillion naira, and this indicates a difference of over 61% quarter on quarter, as it rose from 1.87 trillion naira in the second quarter to 3.02 trillion in the last quarter. Well, let's talk about the details and the implication of this with Bolanle Agbaje, analyst with Financial Derivatives Company. Good to speak to you again, a second time this week, Bolanle. Yeah. So in the last quarter, the country imported goods valued at 8.15 trillion naira, while its total export was valued at 5.13 trillion naira. This brings the total trade to 13.28 as against 12.28 recorded in the preceding quarter. But so let's first of all understand. I know it's pretty common knowledge, I think, but what are the highest contributors to our imports?
So, as the Nigerian Bureau of Statistics reported, the highest contributors for when you look at the export side of things will be crude oil, which is not any news for Nigerians. We all know that that sums up the major part of our exports. But looking at our imports, refined, crude is also I think it's about 12% when it comes to, the imports. And then you also have the fact that we also import used cars, motorcycles. So those are the major or the highest parts of our imports as well. But I think looking at the fact that it's a trade deficit, yes, it's a trade deficit of about 3 trillion naira. It's not so bad in the sense that when you're looking at or trying to compare whether you have a trade surplus or a trade deficit, what you most likely have to focus on is how sustainable is it? Is it a sustainable trend? Is it something that, would skyrocket out of control and the economy or the government would not be able to, bring the economy back to equilibrium? So looking at this, I think the fact that, we import about 12% of refined crude is a major problem, considering the fact that we produce crude oil. So the Dangote refinery is something that we've been thinking about. The fact that hopefully it should, commence next year. It's supposed to add about 650,000 barrels per day of refined crude into the system, which is great news. And that should, add about 25% to our export revenue as well. So hopefully that should change the trade deficit that we're seeing at the moment.
Okay, so when we talk about Dangote, of course, it brings, some light into the scene. But I'm just wondering, we have NLLG in Nigeria, but they are not duty bound to give us products as Nigeria. I mean, they sell products to Nigerians like as if they're importing it. So do you understand?
Yes.
We're happy and we're looking forward to Dangote, but do we know the details of the arrangements or the agreement? Dangote is a business.
Yes.
Do you understand? Is he going to give preference or make some compromises for Nigeria? He can decide to export his products.
I'm sure, as time goes on, we'll get to know more details about, who the refined crude would be sold to, whether it's the marketers, and how that would also, affect, petroleum price within the country. But I think so far so good. Dangote is mainly focused, apart from, obviously as a private business owner, he's focused on making an impact in the oil industry in Nigeria. And so that would mean, changing the course of the way we've been operating, producing refined crude, exporting that, and then importing refined crude. I don't think it's not a good look for us as Nigerians. It hasn't been, and I think Dangote is going to be a game changer when it comes to the oil industry.
We expect it at the middle of next year.
Well, so far so good. I think they're working at it. The last news I heard was that in January they were going to do some commencements and all of that, but to be more optimistic, before the end of next year, we should see something in the market.
And this should collide with the halting of subsidy, which is supposed to commence in June.
Yes, which is great, so that the impact on petroleum price within the economy wouldn't be so bad for Nigerians, because I think it's the last thing we need at the moment, considering the high cost environment that we're currently living in.
I was still talking about high cost and the issue of infrastructure. You know, we talk about movement of the products to supply, security along the road.
Yes.
These are logistics that should be in place
Place.
by now,
I
before,
think
not when it starts, and then we now have that as another shocker to say, oh yes, we do have Dangote refinery,
but with the
but
Dangote refinery, I think they have, sorted out or more or less factored in the logistics on how they would distribute some of these refined crude to different marketers across the country. So I don't think they would just produce a refinery or build a refinery rather, and then not figure out how
to
some of
get
these
it
products,
across.
yes. So I'm sure it's something that they have worked on. Like I mentioned, as time goes on or as time goes by, we'll definitely get more details about how this particular refined crude will be channeled through the economy.
And then we also see that Nigeria's external reserve dipped by $633 million
Yes.
last month in the face
Yes.
of CBN's intervention in the
Backing
FX.
up
And
and they're trying their best, but the naira has now fallen today to about 500, and in the parallel market rather to about 570 naira to the dollar. So the impact is not really felt. And like I mentioned, with the trade deficit, I'm definitely certain that had had issues with our currency as well, because the more you import, the more your currency weakens. Although in actual fact, it should actually translate into a stronger currency in the medium to long term, in the sense that, once your currency weakens, your goods become more attractive to, the international
exactly.
space. But that's not the case,
I
because
guess,
we don't
do we
even
have we have the goods? Maybe
we don't,
that's
yeah, exactly. So we don't even have the goods
yeah.
to actually export, or the high quality goods. We do have some commodity products, but are they of high quality? Are they the quality that, these international, or do they meet international standards rather? So that's, those are some of the issues that we're looking at. And it goes back to the news of coffee. The price of coffee around the world is currently very high due to the fact that there's been supply shortages, and also shipping and transportation logistics, issues as well, due to the very new variant that we're seeing at the moment. And specifically in Brazil, the fact that, we've seen it's the largest producer of coffee, and the weather conditions kind of, reduced supply in that particular country, also affected or played a part into the price of coffee. But then what's mostly important is the fact that Kenya, on the other hand, who's also a producer of coffee, actually saw a reduction in their price. And why did we see that? It's because of the low quality grade that they had produced. So we're seeing benefits of high coffee prices around the world, but Kenya isn't benefiting from that, from this high price due to their quality. So quality is a major issue.
Yeah, when you talk of coffee, I know there's a story we had on our bulletin last night in Ondo State, about a factory that's into coffee, and cocoa and things like that. And
Yes.
We're not even...
We're definitely not close. So we're definitely not close. We're a consumer. So high prices of coffee is not so great for us.
Yeah.
Ideally, we should actually be able to produce coffee as well, because we have the weather for it. But we're just not, serious about the other aspects. It's not just about producing. It's about logistics. It's about storage. And once you don't have that in place, you're not going to get your commodities across or out of the country.
And that also reminds me of AFEX. I mean, they just had a bond, a $100 million bond, and they said a major part of it will be for storage.
Yes.
Because
storage is a major issue. Some of these products or some of these commodities are highly perishable. And if you don't store quality, you can definitely not meet, the international standards that you're looking for. And storage is also about electricity. It plays so many factors of the economy that, are lacking, plays into the storage aspect as well. When it comes to power, we're still heavily reliant on, diesel for energy generation. Power is not up to par at the moment. So some of those issues play a significant, role.
And sometimes even transportation. I know I spoke to a cocoa exporter some time ago, and he shared his experience of moving his products from his factory to the ports.
Yes.
And before it got to the ports, it's
already,
yes.
You
And
spend a lot. You spend long hours on the roads due to traffic, heavy traffic, bad roads and all that. But I would like to commend the Lagos State government. I think they're doing a very good job at fixing, although it seems like it's being done at the same time, and
so it's causing
disruption.
A lot of, yes.
But at the end of the day, I think is what we have to do to make sure that traffic is reduced and movement of, or businesses can move and be more efficient in the economy.
Okay, so what else is happening in the commodity space?
Well, in the commodity space, we're still seeing mixed reviews. I think the harvest season, or the harvesting that has just ended, is still playing a part or a positive impact on some of the prices. We do expect that prices would inch up slightly for major or highly demanded goods within this period, like the price of rice. Maize has also gone up. Soybeans has gone up as
maize
well.
has gone up.
Some of these prices or other commodities, they just remain stable but high. The price of beans, those are still high. Tomatoes as well. And so definitely not, you know, the December that we saw last year, but prices are majorly stable at the moment.
And the festive commodities, the chicken, the turkey.
We do expect the prices to shoot up marginally.
So do they shoot up because they have to shoot up, or they shoot up just because there's higher demand?
It's a season, so it's
just because there's higher demand.
It's the seasonal effect on prices. So once you know, it's the Christmas period, everybody has, there's that mindset that the price of chicken, even before, you get the demand into the system, there's already that mindset. And most, most producers or suppliers would automatically start to increase their prices during this period.
And now, finally, we see oil prices, easing. The concerns on Omicron is easing.
So oil prices are quite bullish now. Just because, they mentioned that the current vaccine, COVID vaccine, is good enough. You just need to probably take a booster shot. Yes. And, that's great. Although a lot of countries are still trying to protect themselves. And I believe not very long, in the next month or two, by the time they review the impact of this new variant, I'm sure most countries will go back to their opening up, and particularly aviation. Aviation is a major, and the demand for oil from aviation is huge. So if you're seeing disruptions in the aviation sector, then it's not really great for oil prices. But like I mentioned, OPEC Plus is they're very bullish about oil prices.
Yes, they are, obviously.
And a lot of analysts believe that oil prices will get to as high as $100 by next year. So let's hope, because it's great for us in actual fact.
It's great for us.
And if the Dangote refinery comes into play as well, it will be fantastic for the country.
Well, we're looking forward to it, and we'll remain optimistic.
Yes.
All right, Bolanle, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us again this morning. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.
So we'll take a break now. After the break, Nigeria has been ranked 35th in the world in terms of doing business online. What does that mean for you and I? Let's find out after the break. This is Business Morning on Channels Television.